Loomio is a open source online platform for group decision making. My name's Rich. I'm one of the co-founders of Loomio, and some of you may have heard that Loomio really is the result of a collaboration between Enspiral and the Occupy movement. And Occupy inspired me and some of my other co-founders due to that process of collaborative decision making where everyone's voice was heard. And for me, that was the first time I'd had that experience of hearing everyone. Only we weren't hearing from everyone, we were only hearing from the people that were actually in the circle with us in that physical space. And last year we launched a crowdfunding campaign, which was sort of a way of saying to the world, hey, we're here, we need a hand, we're doing something we think is worthwhile. And with that sort of publicity, we got a lot of people coming back to us. And one of the people that got in touch with me was a fellow occupier from Philadelphia. And she told me the story of how she was similarly inspired by the promise of this collective decision-making thing, but that her ability to participate in the collective decision-making was severely limited by her visual impairment. I remember her telling me that she went down to the campsite and thought, this is no place for a blind girl to sleep. So as a result of that crowdfunding campaign last year, and in combination with the extraordinarily generous support of the Namaste Foundation, we've recently embarked on a piece of work to make Loomio accessible to people with visual impairment. And I'm coming from a perspective of being a software developer who has no experience of visual impairment myself and no experience of sort of navigating the web in that way. But it turns out if you're using a Macintosh, you can hit Command F5, and I highly recommend anyone do this, to flick on a thing called a screen reader. And the screen reader, translates that sort of two-dimensional visual web experience into an audio experience. So it took me a while to click, but it's actually a bit like phone banking. So you call the phone banking and it's press 1 for accounts, press 2 for customer service, and so on. And when I first tried this out on Loomio, I was shocked. I was embarrassed, really. Like, it's almost completely impenetrable when you're using this assistive technology. And with just a little bit of research and some support from some really great partners, I learned that actually the underlying technology of the web, specifically HTML, is extraordinarily well designed for accessibility. The problem is the engineers, such as myself, have a big gap in their comprehension. And for the last 15 years that I've been building web software, I hadn't given it a second moment's thought. And it was only by hearing someone else's story of why it was important that the sort of light bulb went on a little bit. So, after literally 2 days of work, we've taken Loomio from being like 100% inaccessible to we're about 80% of the way there. And with the support of our really great partners, Axes in Wellington and two guys, Rob Nevin and David Best in Canada, we are on track to make the world's most accessible online discussion platform. So, like I said, the problem that was the gap in comprehension of the engineers. So if there are any engineers in the room that would like to know more about how they can make their web applications more accessible, specifically for blind people, but it does extend for all sorts of other people as well, please do drop me a line, rich@loomio.org, or stay tuned to our blog. I will any minute now, I promise, release a story that details the exact technical details of how you do this. So, thanks very much.